Joining us this morning is Mr. Adam Diem. And Adam, it's great to see you. You've got a big event coming up this weekend. But before we get to that, I just want to say we appreciate your answers to our trivia questions in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, they've been way off, but
Hey.
Same with mine.
They've been good guesses. So
Yeah, well, I thought coffee would be a good one on what you spend $7,000 a year on, because I think I well exceed that.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
I exceed that.
That
as
actually
well.
led us into that discussion. It's like we
Yeah.
actually tried to figure out what we spend on that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's
crazy.
well caffeinated is a motto that a lot of people follow, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, listen, you have a big event coming up this weekend, and we're going to talk about it, but I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get to that.
So I was born and raised in the area, lived here my whole life until, I think I was 23, and then I kind of moved all over the place, and then got married to a local girl from here, and we ended up in Germany, and I then back to Cleveland, Ohio, the mistake on the lake, as a lot of us here in this neck of the steel belt recognize it as.
Yeah.
Throughout it all, like playing soccer in high school and college, and I had a competitive spirit and got into triathlon, and then more focused into bicycle racing and did that. And then
What age was that where you got on the bike for the first time competitively?
it was after college because
Wow.
because like in college I played soccer through my junior year. My senior year I decided not to. And then after college I still just had that competitive drive and wanted to do something. And I was running and doing like riding bikes, and then I was like, well, I should try a triathlon. And then I was really good at the bike part. So I was like, maybe I should just try bike racing.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and then, 7 years ago now, I think 6 or 7 years ago, we moved to Germany for my wife's career. And then I started formally coaching in a coaching business, my Carpe Diem endurance coaching. And now I have 2 other coaches that work with me under that umbrella, and we have 75 athletes in 18 countries that we work with.
Good for you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and we, the nice thing is, like, I'm doing it from here today. It allows me, I joke with people that I was remote before remote was cool.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it, from wherever we were. As long as I had laptop and internet connection, I can make it work.
That's great.
So, and then when we got back here, I decided I got into gravel racing, which is kind of the biggest growing niche of bicycle racing right now.
What led you that direction?
There wasn't a lot of other racing at the time. In gravel racing, during the hardest parts of the pandemic, it lends itself to social distancing. It's not this Peloton style racing. It's kind of everybody does their own thing and gets out there and is able to naturally social distance, and everyone is able to stay, apart. So, and it's a lot of fun. The other thing I really like about gravel is there is just a place for everyone, where like you can start out your first time on the route like we have. That's the Ida Tarbell route that finishes at Petroleum Center and ride the train back, or you can do the 106-mile McClintock route and like just go out there and absolutely punish yourself for 6 or 7 hours.
And how many times have you done that?
The McClintock route, I've ridden it, I think 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah. That route I designed specifically for this race, and it took a couple different facets, if you will, where at one point it was 110, and then just different areas where I could eliminate pavement and add more gravel as I kind of explored more. So,
just out of curiosity, when it comes to getting into this and buying that bike, what do you need to have to handle gravel that's different from a bike you'd pick up and just hit a trail?
Most of the bikes you can do it. I would steer away from like a triathlon or a road specific bike because they're going to have a narrower tire. Whereas like a cyclocross, a mountain bike, I mean, even a bike you could get off the shelf at one of your department stores, a traditional mountain bike as we would know it, growing up around here.
Yeah.
those would work just fine. You know, and again, it's all about your experience. It's getting out there and trying it and figuring out like what's your comfort level. And what's really cool about like this event, and I'm excited about, is the Ida Tarbell route, which is kind of a route I wanted to break down barriers and just allow anybody to do it, right? It's got 18 people in it, and I think what's going to be really neat is as we do this event year after year, we're going to watch some of those people take this journey from that 12-mile route, and maybe next year they do the Ironworks 40-mile route.
Wow.
In the year after that, they might do the Colonel Drake 75-mile route, So wow. I think it'll be neat to watch them that are what I call gravel curious.
Yeah.
Jump in and do that first one and be like, man, this is awesome. Next year I want to do a longer route, So it's really cool to watch.
Keep growing.
Yeah, exactly. And to watch them be excited.
How many do you have right now signed up?
We have 156 registered. So
wow.
Yeah, and registration closed last night just because there's a lot of behind the scenes work now that has to happen. Like all the numbers, for emergency personnel will have their contact information, emergency contact, everything on the back of it. So, if something does happen, they're safe. And we can, get them squared away.
How many races have you set up?
This is the third one that I've personally set up. I've kind of been part of setting up, I would say 15 or 20.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been all over for this?
Yeah. When we lived in Europe, I think I raced in 12 countries and have done some of like the sportif or the Gran Fondo versions of some of the hardest one-day races out there. One of those is the Paris-Roubaix, this is called the Roughneck Gravel Roubaix, and that's where the Roubaix comes from. And that one is one of the hardest one-day races in the professional peloton. And instead of gravel, they are riding over cobblestones.
Oh, wow.
And like the Roubaix cobblestones are these like 10 by 14 cobbles, and they're farm roads, and they're just kind of all abnormally placed. And I think that day in a 232 kilometer event, I had 8 or 9 flat tires from catching an edge on the cobbles.
Wow.
I mean, it was a miserable day on the bike.
So are you packing equipment to repair your bike if something happens?
Yeah, generally everybody will carry what's called a flat kit, that'll have a tube. A lot of these guys, like your car, they're running tubeless tires, but they're kind of like a run flat tire. They have sealant in there that if they get a small puncture, it's a latex sealant, it'll seal it right up. And they just keep going. But if they get a catastrophic flat, as we would call it, they've got tires, levers, tubes, CO2, and they'll get it right back up and running.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So this event's coming up this weekend.
Yep.
When did you start the process of planning this event?
So last year on June 4th, I did an event called Garmin Unbound, which is one of the biggest gravel races in the U.S. in Emporia, Kansas. And when I was riding around there, I'm passing farms, I'm passing a local university, and they have plastics manufacturing in that town as well. It's actually where disc golf was invented.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Nice.
I'm riding through there, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, we could pick this event up and put it in Titusville, pretty
Sure.
easily. And I was like, huh. So then I think I contacted Chris Roughner, who I knew from when my family had Brian's. And I said, hey, Chris, I want to do something like this. What do you think? And I thought he was the city manager at the time. I didn't realize
Right.
it was Neil Freitas. And he said, Adam, that sounds really cool, but I'm the wrong guy. You got to talk to Neil and the mayor. So the next time we were in town, I think in July, I got a hold of them and I brought it to them, and they were like, this is amazing. Can we do this next week? Like they were like,
Yeah, let's
go.
do this.
And I said, well, guys, we got to do it right, because if we want to make this a destination event, it's
Yeah.
got to be done right, and let's plan it. So that was really when the epiphany came to fruition, and then from there it's just been a long, slow, sometimes fast process
Yes.
of like things happening, and notifying all the townships, notifying the 911 call centers, talking to the state police, the PennDOT permits,
mapping it out,
the state park permits.
Wow.
Like, I can't tell you how many hours I spent driving the routes. Or, when I would come up here in December and I was planning to ride, but we'd get 2 inches of snow, and I'm like, well, guess I'm getting in the Jeep and driving the route today.
Yep.
Just, because you really want to curate it and fine tune it to deliver that best experience possible.
What do you, because you've been all over.
Yeah.
What does this atmosphere here have that others, I mean, you talk about these people coming in. What are people going to say about this race when they're done, do you think? I mean, we hear about this like the Drakewell Marathon.
Yeah.
People come from all over the country and the world and take part in that, right?
Yeah.
And they come and say, this is like one of the most beautiful places ever. What do you think the takeaway is going to be?
I think it's going to be similar to that. I really do. I mean, we're really lucky that Bob Joyce down at the Ironworks is letting us use that for our start and finish facility. And I think just that atmosphere, people are going to want to come back for. I've already had probably close to 40 emails of people that have grabbed the routes, come up here and rode them on what they would call a preview ride, right?
Right.
And the feedback is just like, these routes are amazing.
Sure.
Like the scenery, the roads, and I had one lady email me. She grew up in Seneca and she lives in Oregon now. And she was back visiting her mom 2 weeks ago, and she emailed me and she says, as a female going out and riding, sometimes I haven't lived in the area in 40 years. Like, it makes me nervous sometimes being by myself. Are these routes safe? And I said, well, here's generally what I see. I usually see like 30 or 40 deer, occasionally a bear or two, some turkeys, an infinite number of squirrels.
Yeah.
I said, and you're probably going to see about 3 cars. One's going to ask you if you're lost. One's going to ask you what you're doing, and the other one's probably going to ask you if you need a ride somewhere, or if you want some water.
Yeah.
And she was up here, she rode, she emailed me back, and she said, they asked me all 3 of those questions, and you were exactly right.
Oh, that's
these
wonderful.
routes are amazing,
Oh,
you
wow.
know? And I think that's one thing that has impressed me about this whole process is I knew we had something special here, right? I grew up here. I know how special the region is, but generally, everyone is, how can I help?
Yep.
What do you need? Not one person has come to me and said, why are you doing this? Why are you bringing these people to this area?
Sure.
Everybody is saying, how can I help? What do you need? And it's that energy and that character of this area that's going to make this special.
Which is very similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who is your daddy and what does he do? You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. I think that was from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Yeah, just check. So, Adam, set up the weekend. How's it work?
So Friday night, we'll open up registration at 5:30 down at the Ironworks. And then at 6 o'clock, there is a women's-only preview ride. That's one thing that, as a father of 2 daughters, I'm super passionate about, is getting more women into this sport. And then registration will stay open until 10 p.m. or close to when the Ironworks closes. We'll have a pretty good idea if we need to close early based on how many people are showing up. And then Saturday morning, registration will reopen at the Ironworks at 6:30 in the morning. In the first route, the 100-mile route, we'll start off at 7:30 in the morning. We're estimating on that route that the fastest people will do about 15 miles per hour. They're going to go 106 miles and climb.
Wow.
Yeah, and climb close to 10,000 feet of elevation. And the slower guys will go close to 10 miles an hour with that amount of climbing. And then the next route goes off at 8:30. That's the 75-mile Colonel Drake route. Again, 15 mile an hour average speed for the leaders and 10 mile an hour for the slower. The third and biggest route, or most popular route among participants, is the Ironworks. That's a 40-mile route, and that is going off at 9 o'clock. And we'll probably see, they have a little bit less climbing, so I'm estimating the leaders of that one will be close to 18 miles an hour. And the slower people will be around 10 miles an hour. And then the Ida Tarbell route goes off at 9:30, And the goal of doing them last is they have 3 hours to get to Petroleum Center. So they need to maintain 4 miles an hour. But I didn't want them to, all the routes go out Drakewell Road. And I didn't want them to be on course as potentially new people to gravel with other people. So they will have all the way to Petroleum Center clear from with no other riders.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What do you think the economic impact on the region is?
I think it's going to be great. I mean, I think this year we're going to see it, but it won't be as large as if we can, as a community, grow this race.
Sure.
You know, like next year, if we get 500 people, we're going to see a much bigger impact. And if we can grow this race to be like some of the biggest in the country, we're talking 3,000 to 5,000 people.
That's what you were saying.
Here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like the size of the town.
Yeah, and you know, but I think the town can support it.
Oh,
and,
no
and
doubt.
I'm excited about it, and I'm excited for everyone. You know, if you can, to come and watch the start, or join us down at the BMX track and watch the finish. If you're interested in doing what I call ringing them out of town. I had 200 mini cowbells made.
Nice.
And you can come pick them up down at the Ironworks and show up Saturday morning and like cheer them out of town. That's some of my greatest memories of races is when the community supports it like that.
Yeah.
They show up.
It's powerful.
And you have 500 people down there ringing cowbells or, you know, and if we don't have enough, bring something that makes noise.
We need more cowbell.
You know, like,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We do. We
always
need more
more
cowbell.
cowbell. Yeah.
My wife gets that excited when I leave the house. So
Yeah.
it's similar to that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't come back.
Yeah.
Love you, honey.
But keep the paycheck coming.
Yep, that's right. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
So hey, as far as you guys go, how often, like where? Yeah, there you go.
There it
We need
is.
more
See that?
cowbell.
Luke's got one.
Luke's got it.
Don't ask.
Yeah, don't ask. I don't know why. We need more cowbell. So, where are people coming in from? All over the country?
Yeah, so this year is primarily East Coast. We got people from Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Ohio. I think I saw one or two from Indy, DC, New York.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting.
And then, yeah, that is
Yeah.
exciting. And then within that, are a lot of those folks are they from the region, like Meadville, Oil City,
No.
Franklin? Oh, so they're
No,
just coming in strictly.
They're coming in just because they've heard about it. They've seen what
and
we've
they
been
race
doing marketing.
in other races.
Yep. Yeah, they would do other races throughout the area or in their region. Or,
Yeah.
Boy, it's going to be fascinating to get their input afterwards. Because
Yeah.
I know you kind of said what you think you're going to hear from them, but
Yeah.
to actually hear what they have to say.
that part really excites me because I think a lot of people are going to. I mean, I know from the people that have come here and ridden, they're like, man, you have something special.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, wow.
And in the 4 counties we touch, the Philadelphia Inquirer did a great article about low volume dirt roads. And in the 4 counties we touch, Crawford, Venango, Warren, and Forest, we have close to 2,900 miles of dirt roads. Like, in this year, in making these routes, I would have people that know the region email me and say, you know, are you putting Miller Farm in? Are you putting this road in? And I'm like, the hardest thing for me, guys, was creating routes and deciding what to exclude this year. Because I can't have people out there for 2,900 miles. Like, it's, you know, it would be insane.
Yeah.
So that was really one of the hardest parts was creating courses that are going to represent the area well and get them to want to come back. But figuring out where to exclude and what to exclude. And then figuring out the road crossings, especially those main roads, you know, 27, 227, 36.
Yeah.
Like, those are a big deal. And you want everyone to get home safely to their families.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So
That impressed me too, Adam. That safety was sort of the top of the list. And you know, not only you checking to make sure everything was safe, but talking to other people saying, okay, you know, how can we do, you know, we have a small section here. Do we figure out a way around it?
Right.
Or if we have to cross there, what's the best way of doing it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Thursday night we're doing a safety meeting here at the town square with the state police, the fire, the volunteer fire. Then I've sent an emergency packet to all the call centers, to everything like that.
You've got all the bases covered.
To make sure, because safety has, like, everyone wants to get home.
Yep.
You know.
Adam, what's the website people can go to for more information?
Roughneck Gravel Roubaix, Roubaix spelled ROUBAIX.com.
And if you look, it's cool to see every event sold out there. So
Yeah.
congratulations on
Thank you,
everything.
guys. Yeah.
And we look forward to talking to you this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Corey, what'd you learn today?
That there's a whole different culture within the gravel dirt road racing.
Adam?
From Adam.
What'd you learn?
Man, that my head is spinning. And I'm not sure there's enough caffeine in this town
No, there
headed
isn't.
into this weekend
Hey, good luck.
for me.
Good luck.
Yeah, yeah.
Sinner.